Welcome, adventurers. I'm Gian Cablin, and today in Final Fantasy, I'm going to talk about your coming expansion. If you're like me, whenever you first get into a game like this, you look to see what's changed, and a lot has changed over the years, from abilities and stuff, just to see what guides you can follow. And being a DK hopeful player, it has been a lot that I've had to sift through. But one of the things that I found out was the coming expansion, Evercold, which looks pretty cool from what I've seen, coming with some new jobs, level increase to 110. So I'm assuming everybody's getting at least more abilities, which kind of seems bogged down when you look at y'all's ability or your hotkeys at high levels. But I think they've got a fix for that. Because from what I see, they're going to be doing some changes to our skills and how they work, as well as tanking. So from what I understand right now, we are looking at being able to tank most content as any of your actual tank classes. Now, I have played the Warrior, and I'm playing my DK right now. The Gunbreaker is also imaged over here, I see, as they've decided they're going to be defining roles as off-tanks, which unfortunately is all of my guys, and main tanks. Main tanks specifically being the guys during raid modes that are going to be considered main tanks. From what I understand, you can do the lower content and you'll be fine, but the high level content, supposedly, you're going to have your main tank, which does all the things main tanks normally do right now, which is taking and soaking up damage, countering enemy attacks. That's going to be the focus of the new tank, which we'll get into in a second, and the Paladin. Meanwhile, the rest of us are over here off tank. So we lower damage, take into allies, and actions to lower enemy damage. So we're kind of the low-level enforcers. We're taking care of the ads. It's standard off-tank kind of stuff. If you've done any of the raids or large content, you should know what this is. It just makes me sad that they're going to take away my ability to possibly do this in a way. Because what they're doing is changing how our skills work, apparently. So for DK right now, I'm in what's called, I guess, reborn mode. This is Paladin actions. But apparently, we're changing to an evolved mode. Now, evolved mode, except for in this preview, is supposed to be making things simpler. From what I understand, you'll have your reborn, your older 1, 2, 3 buttons, like we always do. But with evolved mode, I think they're going to be stacking it all into one. And so they're going to try and simplify things. So it's going to clear up a lot of clutter. But also, from what I understand, when you do evolved mode as these original tank classes, then you're going to be taking on these roles. So if you want, from what I understand and read, you'll be able to do reborn mode and be a main tank, even as a DK. And then there's evolved mode, which you will specifically be off tank. Sounds to me like they're doing a large rework, and they're testing it out for classes, to define them into their roles and change up some of the abilities. Again, the new classes apparently will all be using the evolved mode, so it seems like where they're pushing it to, but I don't think they want to take away everything from you older guys that are wanting to be main tanks and DKs. We'll see how that works out. It sounds to me the way that they work out is that you're almost going to have two separate classes. When we look at, this is going to be on icveins.com, I was looking at how they were looking to change the combat system. One, at higher levels, you have a 2-minute kind of buff cycle where you're going to be having your peak damage. And so from what I understand is they're getting away with this. Now, I don't have to deal with that yet because I'm still low level. It is something that you have to maintain and everyone kind of join in on during this. So from what I assume is they're going to be removing this. The way I understand it is your damage will be less peaks and more of a constant. So they're going to be changing how your damage works. I think they're doing away with a lot of your buffs where you have that short window, and they're going to be making it to where it's just added to your skills constant. And I understand why they had the 2-minute buff with you guys, because some of those abilities also work for other people, which would call those spikes to be able to do, and sometimes, from what I understand, required to do your high level content, but it made it very predictable in the patterns of the monsters and everything. And I think they're going to do away with that to make it more engaging and to take away this 2-minute window, which I think is going to be good, not only from our perspective where you have to constantly jump into that window, but it will also allow there to be that constant damage from everyone where you're also going to have a little more erratic behavior from the mobs and not just window that you're doing and jumping around, and then you stop and everyone deals damage. So it will be a constant damage and a constant dance. And I think that's good. Anything to take away from the staleness of a game, especially since some of y'all have played for so long, is going to be good. And I know that some of y'all have seen the evolution into this. And I heard a guy complaining about the current 2-minute window system that y'all have had for the last half of a decade. But either way, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, according to them, they're going to have this combat mode where you toggle outside of combat whenever you want. No reason to relearn actions or everything. The gear's all shared. And so you're still taking on your main tank or side tank or off tank mode. And then content clearable with both modes. So this is the one that I was a little confused about, because I know they specifically stated that all new jobs will only be in evolved mode. And then they're going to be specific when it comes to the tanks to having that like tank and tank roll. So I guess you can clear it, but you won't be the main tank role, unless I misunderstood anything. If I did, put in the comments below. Let's find some links and we'll correct it. But that's looking at your reborn mode. And so it just looks like it will be cleaner. I've seen some mods that put multiple skills into one button. So you're just hitting like 4 on your keyboard and it will go through your 1, 2, 3 in order, unless you mess up and then it starts over. And I think that's a great way of doing it, just as being able to help the players. Let's see. The other class that they're looking at getting us into, one of them is still a mystery, which everyone is looking at this video and the fact that they had released a fox sound. So they're thinking it's some kind of tamer pet class because it's a melee ranged. So I'm guessing you send in your pet, maybe some kind of beast tamer or something like that. Because I looked at the symbols that were shown in this video for the class. Can't find it anywhere, upside down or not. And I mean, I'm kind of new to all this, but I didn't think it looked like anything, so I found that. Other class that they're looking at, or that we're going to be seeing in January, is going to be the Bastion. This looks cool. Something about it also I find interesting. So as we're going through, you know, it looks cool and everything, and it's going to be solely with the evolved mode. But something that I find interesting with it is as we're seeing him fight, you see him buff, you can see him doing your normal tank modes. He is striking with his big shields, but all of you have seen this before. There. They talked about having modes, and I understand what they mean when they're saying like this, to where you're taking on, like in our way, that side tank role for a DK, or you can do it all with your reborn mode. But this, oops, let's get rid of that. This seems like he's switching modes. So I came over from TNL, and you can see him going through his class attacks right there. 2, 3. You can see him going through, you know, a buff again. And then I just wonder if this is going to go a similar way to like the Gauntlet does with TNL, which is why I actually went back and tried it last month. Is it having 2 different modes, having like a tank short range mode and having a ranged mode, because all of these attacks are ranged. So does that mean that he's just got a split kit? Or does that mean that he's going to have a button which literally transforms all of his skills from being melee to ranged? And if that's true, it's going to be amazing. I'm kind of excited for this guy. I was a little down whenever I had seen that they, with their evolved skill, they were going to be doing the split tanking. But if I'm here in January, then I will be trying this guy out, because the mechanics of being able to possibly split your combat up, and the fact that you'll be a tank and you'll have more ranged for being able to tag enemies and pull them in is going to be amazing. Something that I like, being able to tag enemies. It's one of the reasons that I liked the DK compared to like the warrior, was what their ranged was and all their abilities much flashier. I love the flashy abilities and the usefulness, and being able to be ranged like that until you get face to face with your big boss is going to be great. Next thing we're talking about is Chocobo. They're going to be doing an overhaul combat from what I understand, to where one, he can follow you into a dungeon, so that when you normally do your assisted dungeons with your NPCs, apparently he will soon be able to follow you in. I don't know if they're going to do it on release, but they said it's in the plans. And so he will be able to not only level up, which I am horrible at remembering to spawn my Chocobo, which I called a chicken for 2 days until my wife really got onto me. And not only will it be in the open world with you, but it'll be able to follow you into dungeons, which I think is kind of cool. But I also saw on a forum that we were supposed to be getting an overhaul to the quality of life's systems in the game. So not only are they refreshing classes and changing everything up, but we should be getting some more game modes. I heard there's going to be some PvP stuff going in, housing updates, so maybe everyone can get a house a little easier. I don't know how big of a thing that would be for people, especially with as expensive as apparently it is. But there's also going to be an auto content balancing feature. One of the things that gets me is the balancing. So I know that we have our level sync that we have right now, but when I go into levels or lower level dungeons, and of course it's not that big of a deal because max job I have now is 53, but I can only imagine being so used to a rotation and everything and then dropping down to a level 16 dungeon in your roulette. But apparently they're going to be allowing you to keep that. You're going to be able to be a higher level, enter into a scaled duties, and then retain their unlocked abilities and progressions, and then everything's going to be like scaled with you. So I like that. I've seen it scaling in other systems. It never really goes completely right, but I don't think it goes completely right in this one either. So I still think it'll be better to be a level 100 going through and being level 16 than an actual level 16, obviously, because your gears and everything, but you're going to get to keep your rotation, which is going to be big. I also heard that there might be some scalable loot that goes with it. So that might make it even a little bit better when you go through, because I noticed that no one, and obviously they're all higher than me, but when we go through dungeons, they don't ever care about the chests, which is okay. But we've got the new zones that you're going to be having. They're going to be doing some new raids, from what I understand, a few new raids to it. This is all on Gamesco. Another one I was looking up to look and see everything new that was coming. And there's going to be visual updates, which possibly means everyone will get a free reset. I've still got one sitting in a bag somewhere, but it's going to allow us to redo. I heard they had adjusted some sliders. I know I heard someone say that they might add a butt slider, but don't get too hopeful. But they're going to allow you to remove some of the lines from some of your characters so that you can change some of the things that have been stagnant when it comes to design. It's pretty interesting. Now, the action animations being customizable is kind of cool. I think it's going to allow them not only to have something that's collectible, depending on how they do it, but having your jobs and then being able to flavor them and have effects that deal or look kind of like this are going to change everyone's view. I mean, what if you want to play a warrior or a paladin and now all of your abilities look like a DK's? Well, congrats. Now you have got this dark paladin roll to it, and I think that's fantastic. My other channel is mostly about Pathfinder, tabletop gaming, things like D&D, and running them. And one of my favorite things is having the player being able to flavor things how they want so that they can get the experience. I think it allows more people into the game. It doesn't hurt anyone else, and it just makes things more interesting. And then, of course, like I said earlier, with your housing coming in, what else we got? I think that makes pretty much all of it. Most of it that I was trying to wrap my head around is going to be the changes to the jobs. Luckily, I'm not ingrained into them. It'll be DK, which eventually will be the hardest one for me to adjust to. But it all sounds interesting. And it's one of the things that I find really interesting, really cool about this game is how much they're willing to change to try and make things better. When it comes to having seasons, having different progression systems, trying all these new things out to freshen up a game, which was already good, to make it compete with things that are brand new, that's already stolen so much from these older games just to get to where it is. So I think the new expansion looks pretty cool. I heard that there's going to be early access and a look coming up, I think, at the end of October. So that is, oh, here we go. Yep, October 31st to November 1st. So it looks cool. I'm going to keep trying to get my wife to play. So I'll see you all in the War Game and have fun.